recording?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're good. Honorable Chair, when I went to Manila this year, I wanted to buy a barong because I thought it looked cool, because I thought it looked nice. I think that would be an aspect of my appreciation of Filipino culture. But everyone told me that that should never be in my head because that's racist, because that's cultural appropriation. But I told them, no, that's my aspect of appreciation, and that's the problem. Cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation is put into a very gray area of the society. That we tell you any attempt of cultural appropriation or cultural appreciation is therefore appropriation. That people are afraid to question what lines are there, what lines is it back in, what lines is it back on. And we tell you in issues where it is good, then it is fine. We don't need to prove to you that cultural appropriation will always be good, because we think that can be bad. Therefore, if we can prove to you instances where cultural appropriation can be good, therefore we will debate. But before that, let's also realize that opening up has been very confusing. People have been throwing out around terms and definitions without explaining to you what those definitions really are, whether they are okay, whether they are not okay. We'll be the first to remind you what exactly is cultural appropriation, when it's bad and when it's good. I think everyone can be clear that it's bad when you culture appropriate and you don't ignore the sources. When you profit from it, but you still don't share the credit. And when you still do it and still be involved in the oppression of minorities. This means when you eat bak kut teh, as they want to say, and reject any Chinese people and don't claim it as Chinese and say this is white culture, obviously that's bad. But I think it is okay the moment you do so and say, hey, this is Chinese food. I like this Chinese food. It might be sticky, but I like it. So I think in this context, therefore, that is when it is good. I'll bring you two argumentations. First, we'll tell you why this narrative is unfair and insensitive to the gray spectrums that hyperculture, culture sharing and simulation. Second, we'll tell you what is the value of appreciation and why exactly society needs to be more pragmatic in its valuation of cultural appropriation. Before that, if responses, before that, sure.
The problem is at best, these benign individuals seem like speculative benefit. I'm not sure you achieve. Conversely, we throw there's a clear outcome and clear out. The point where individuals actively try and subvert these cultures, I think this is the reason why we need narrative to ensure that this never happens, because these are the harm that occur for the most vulnerable and most problematic. So actually do it.
Let me be clear. Open up since the entire argumentation is just some people are racist, some people want to be bad. Therefore, we reject all white people. You think that you can't be bad within that. Just because certain communities or aspects were racist doesn't mean that everyone is. Just because 10 years ago being Chinese was unacceptable just doesn't mean that now, because it is okay, therefore you reject it. And we admit, yes, it sucks that you must pander towards the majority community. But that is where we need to be realistic and pragmatic and understand that you need an avenue into society, you need an avenue for you to not be otherized, you need an avenue for them to be able to empathize and understand you. We think that their argumentation of people being rejected is therefore much worse, because at the very least we are showing the moral high ground of allowing people to attempt to empathize within us. The moment someone says they want to have a condo to a black person, because this means that even if it comes from ignorance, at the end of the day, the end of understanding and appreciation, we tell you, justifies the means. And even then, we tell you, just because certain people are racist and their ancestors or their parents were racist, doesn't mean that you should harm and attack those who do it right now. Yeah, sure, I might be racist 10 years ago, but I am changed back now. I understand that my actions back then was unacceptable, but I am trying to understand and accept you. I am trying to be your ally. And we tell you at that moment, you should not reject them and tell them that this is cultural appropriation, but at the very least, try to include them within the discussion. Tell them that this is how we share culture, this is how we assimilate as an entire community. In fact, the argumentation of Chinese people being attacked for not being Chinese enough, they're not being attacked by the whites, they're being attacked by their own communities because they're not attacked, because they said they're not being Chinese enough. We tell you in a world where everyone can assimilate however they want, you can be whoever you are and don't need that external validation from your communities upon which your own birth lottery is dependent on anyway. Do your thoughtful argumentation. We tell you that the idea of asking for consent is very grey within this area. Opening government will stop you about how certain communities own or disown not own culture. We tell you that even if it does, who do you ask consent from? Do you ask the consent from any specific individual? Do you ask the consent from the American Asians, the actual Chinese people in China, the moment the white girl chooses to wear a prom dress? Because you will have conflicting discussions. The Asians in China were okay with it because they thought it was some form of appreciation. But the Asians in America were not okay with it because they were attacked and oppressed. Well, we think those are horrible things, the ability for them to gain sympathy and empathy and understanding therefore is important. Because people are afraid that cultural appreciation is therefore perceived as cultural appropriation. They are afraid that the moment they wear that Cheongsam frog dress, people will say that their culture is not their progress. That people will attack their admiration and appreciation, even though they may be perhaps just ignorant of it. And we tell you that the more people try to attempt that, or the more people make a mistake about it, the best action is therefore for you to say, hey, here you could be wrong, but we'll teach you to know how to do it. In fact, we tell you that these communities can benefit from it. We think my second argumentation, why exactly depreciation can lead to practical changes. I've given you one already. We tell you that the moment you have this value of appreciation, let's use the plum buildings, you have an increase in visibility and notability. And people who are attracted and interested in your products, in your clothing, in your food, are likely going to be wanting to buy them. So this means they're likely to include your Chinese dresses and Chinese culture in their presentation, in their articles, in their clothing. And we tell you that this is the moment where your minorities are able to benefit from it. The moment your Chinese dresses are the vogue right now, sell it. If people like it right now, then the ability for the minorities to really make a profit from it is therefore important. And because we tell you that because these people have the value of authenticity, that they are selling their own values of culture, it's so therefore much more important for you to do so. And because this minority representation trend is one that opposition rejects, but also the House we're able to make use of it and gain certain monies that can be used to offset the harms of racism. Because at the very least, you have that visibility on us in the House. And in fact, you can be claimed to be part of that new narrative because you own this idea that this idea is the one that you're okay with sharing with other people. This means that you are able to say that you are the gatekeeper of this culture, that you are now part of the social life at best or at worst at the very least. We tell you that these trends will still happen no matter what. We tell you at the very least, the ability for you to benefit from these trends is much more important than them losing out because they refuse to engage and refuse to be pragmatic in all efforts. The comparative is, if you call it out, there's an answer to condemn. They'll be unwilling to take the moral high ground, they'll be unwilling to be more pragmatic and allow others to even attempt to empathize within them. We tell you that the ability for people to have that narrative and question that narrative and no longer be afraid of treading that fine line is important. If they fall over it, then we'll question them, we'll talk down to them, we'll talk down to them upon it. But we tell you that there is some good that can happen. And for that good, nothing is intrinsically bad.
You know what? I'm going to start my speech by explaining the difference between cultural appreciation and cultural appropriation so that it'll be cultural appropriation means that you don't ask for consent, you co-opt the culture and say that it's one of your own. For example, you say that yoga can be white, maybe samosas are part of white culture. That is what like cultural appropriation will exist in the world of closing opposition. Because like we need to understand that the relationship between cultures must be transactional, must be one of consent. Because consent is important for us to understand the cultural nuance so that we can appreciate cultures, so that minorities can actually benefit from the culture that they uniquely have. That's why we think that's bad. But cultural appropriation, maybe we will say that if you have a friend and you ask your friend if they can wear the cheongsam to the prom, and if that friend says yes, because maybe they uniquely own the culture, maybe they want that friend to be able to experience what it's like to wear the cheongsam, maybe they can internally decide, wow, appreciation exists. That is what the narrative is for. Because the narrative tells people that appropriation is bad. And the narrative tells people that there are consequences to cultural appropriation, and therefore we need to understand the line that we need to draw. And I think that's the narrative and how that helps us understand the line. That's how closing opposition will enter this clarification. So first, the extension, because like, I think that's the biggest clash in this debate. From closing opposition, we would say they do, and why I will explain the standards later. But secondly, how the narrative helps when it comes to delineating between cultural appreciation and cultural appropriation, and why that would mean better interactions within culture and ultimately eliminate the harms of how appropriation massively exploits the minorities and the
clarification.
But before that, yes, clarification.
The narrative that is intrinsically bad assumes there is no consent, and we say it's intrinsically good, it assumes consent. Why is consent a consideration as opposed to the arbitrariness and randomness of its appreciation and its existence, and therefore that should be the better metric?
But because they uniquely develop it, even if it's arbitrary, they uniquely develop what? The fact that they maybe people would say there's a similarities between a samosa and a curry puff. But people don't know the reasons behind why we develop samosas or why samosas are as such. Maybe because samosas are inclined to benefit the diets of Hindus who prefer vegetarianism. We don't know that. Why people don't know that? At least in our world, we allow at least white people to understand why they prefer and why they develop these cultures and why these things are uniquely important to them. That's the comparative in terms of why Wikipedia narrative helps with that discussion. So let's move on to the rebuttal. The first suggestion from opening government is that they don't have ownership because of the fact that they don't have proprietary right, and it is transient, whereby it lives after them. Why do we think these standards are wrong? For several reasons, three actually. The first is that you can't say everything as something is arbitrary and say that people don't have right to ownership. The way we develop rights are as such that we recognize that people need to directly benefit from that right. For example, the reason why we need to offer minorities the ability to have the right to ownership is because of three reasons. Firstly, because they uniquely developed the cultures. Because they went through the process of going through discriminations, adapting the cultures in order for people to find it more palatable, and therefore they are involved in the process of uniquely developing their culture, and therefore they must be able to, be able to undictate the cultural nuance or, financially benefit from it. But second, recognize that culture is transient, yes, but the fact that these other people who are likely going to adopt these cultures, even if it's transient, would mean that these people think these cultures are important. So even if assuming that these people are likely going to care about the culture, the fact that they make the decision to care about the culture would mean that they hold significance even if it's transient, and therefore they must be given the right to ownership because they want to care about it. They think it's important to them, therefore they should be afforded the right to property. But thirdly, if you say that it's not important to their identity, maybe to some people yes, but to others it could be important. For example, the Indian headwear that people wear in Coachella would be important to a tribal leader because that headwear would suggest symbols of bravery and leadership, and that symbol headwear must be exclusive because that's a right that we want to only a few people. They think it's important. Maybe it's arbitrary, yes, but ultimately the way they formulate their identity is ultimately up to them. We need to empower them to make the decision in terms of how their culture interacts with other people. That's why the right to ownership must exist. That's how we are different from opening opposition, because opening opposition seems to suggest because of suffering, they need to have their right. At least we explain reasons to why that right must exist. But let's talk about the second part, about what exactly this narrative is important for us to not blur the line between cultural appreciation and cultural appropriation. Because the narrative assumes that we set standards about why this is culturally, why cultural appropriation, how cultural appropriation exists. What are the standards that we are likely going to accept this debate for the debate tomorrow? One, that is theft. Maybe if you're a corporation and you don't give credit to minority designers when it comes to designing your clothes, and you don't pay them commensurately, or the fact that you don't ask for consent from these people when it comes to selling those things. Those things are cultural appropriation. With the narrative, society is able to highlight these acts and is able to collectivize pressure enough to change the practices of these companies. For example, if most people believe that cultural appropriation is intrinsically bad because of the narrative, you can create far better pressure when it comes to saying things, doing things like boycotting these companies to such a point that they are likely going to change their corporate practices, or not buy these goods to begin with because you don't want to offend the sensitivities of the culture who own these cultures to begin with. The narrative empowers individuals to change corporal behavior or to change practices of cultural appropriation far easier because we tell people it's intrinsically bad, it's widely accepted that it's intrinsically bad, the narrative helps with that. What's the comparative in their world? It's blurry, like, because without the narrative, people will likely think that I don't know how to delineate between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation. Without the narrative, people are unable to question where did the corporations did wrong, where is it about, what about culture that minorities uniquely own, and it is with this narrative, there is certainty that people know that cultural appropriation is bad, and the discussions behind this narrative will be far easier for us to delineate within those two. Minorities are far more empowered to be able to create and move the discussion to be about appreciation because they're able to set standards for what is bad and what is appreciation. Never been so proud to do.
Can you read this?
Oh, thank you very much for that speech. Thank you. I don't want
Chair, there is a reason why the opening line that was brought by Isaac just now was extremely valuable. Because in a world where you call cultural appropriation as something that is intrinsically bad, therefore it is much easier for people to call out any kinds of adoption of culture, be it for good, be it for bad, as a cultural appropriation, and therefore it is just going to be regarded as bad at the end of the day. That is exactly the reason why in the side closing opposition, closing government, we tell you that we believe that cultural appropriation is not intrinsically and inherently bad, it is circumstantially bad. And because it is circumstantially bad, it could also become circumstantially good. And the reason why we do not want to allow any kind of calling out as every single form of cultural adoption as a cultural appropriation and therefore it is bad, because we want this kind of goodness that you might be able to get from cultural appropriation at the end of the day to prevail. And that is exactly the reason why assimilation is much better in countries with multiple ethnicities and races like Malaysia and things like that. Before I go on with the side opening opposition, because opening opposition you apparently have a lot more things than the closing opposition, let's deal with that theme from from UITI. Right. So first and foremost, let's look at the very first thing that the first problem we started, right? Fred did not like deal with a lot of things that were brought by Azim, but we told you that appropriation can be good and it could also become very bad. But the moment in which it becomes good, that is the moment in which you allow assimilation and appreciation to begin with, right? Those are the kind of things that was not answered by him to begin with. But also, like another thing that was more importantly is that, like we already told you, the nature of calling an action as intrinsically bad is you allow people to weaponize this to shut down any possibility of it going to be able to be very good to begin with. That is exactly the reason why when a white person decides to wear sari or probably cheongsam or kurta to begin with because he wanted to like feature this kind of culture that comes from the other parts of the world, he just couldn't do it because at the end of the day, people are still going to call out that as a form of cultural appropriation because that is a white person who is doing it, and for some reason they are going to like hurt these people at the end of the day. We tell you, in the world where this is also a debate where we envision a world where when the narrative does not exist, you remove any barricade for cultural sharing and benefit that could only be stifled out by constantly calling it cultural appropriation. In our world, we think that the delineation is going to be much better, right? Because we do acknowledge that cultural appropriation, like it could be good and could be bad. When it is something that is very bad, we're going to call it out as something that is very bad. But the ability for you to also call another form of cultural appropriation that would definitely bring or like end to a positive outcome is also going to be stifled out the moment in which you say that any forms of cultural adoption, any forms of cultural borrowing is cultural appropriation, and therefore it is bad. You don't allow any kind of assimilation at the end of the day, right? And also on the idea of pragmatism, right? This is also something that was brought by Azim. where they did not live also, right? Where we tell you that in the event where you are the minority, sometimes there are certain things that you have to there is something that you have to forego at the end of the day, because just for the sake of survival and so. But we tell you that the world right now is not how it was decades ago, or probably centuries ago. The world is getting smaller, in which people are not that stupid to a point where if a white person suddenly comes and say that Kuta is actually something that comes from Ireland, which is actually the forefathers of the American or probably of the English world, we think that the people are not that stupid to believe that, right? We think that there is always a constant action of check and balance to ensure that this kind of subversion that was actually brought by the opening opposition going to happen at the end of the day. But which is also the reason why we say there is actually an unrealistic harm, and also because we believe that the ability for people to always call out bad forms of cultural appropriation gets stronger with the growing trend of progressiveness. Closing.
So I don't get it. It's good that you're able to call out cultural appropriation because these things are done without consent and these things are not transactional. Can you please be the person to explain why the appreciation of culture can be done without consent and it's not transactional? Why is it that people of power can simply call these things really?
Right, but then who do you ask consent from, right? Because culture belongs to a group of people that is extremely huge. Do you want to go and call Xi Jinping and ask him to ask every single Chinese in that country to consent to a white person to actually adopt a culture at the end of the day? The moment in which a person does that in the bad in a bad way, we think that there is always some kind of people who are always going to constantly call out this person, right? But we think that in an event when a person has a benevolent intention to highlight this culture, we think we're going to allow that to happen, right? So let's deal with the side opening opposition, right? We tell you that the reason why we have this debate to begin with is because appropriation still exists, although the narrative is a status quo. Why? Because of the very thing that was brought by the leader of opposition, which is the first question of who controls the narrative, right? We tell you that at the end of the day, the majority is still going to control the narrative. So even if you call it something that is intrinsically bad, you being a minority is not going to be able to change anything to begin with. But secondly, and most importantly, on the idea of suffering, sit down, we tell you that your suffering is going to be able to be put underline even better, right? Because the reason why people wanted to even know more about the plight of the African American community, the reason why people wanted to understand about the poverty of the people in the southern India is because the moment in which you allow this assimilation to happen, that is the moment in which you make people understand that this group of people do this, and that is the moment when we tell you that people who have natural incentives by virtue of being progressive are going to put a lot more limelight on this group of people at the end of the day. And then also we tell you that another thing that was brought by them is that they said that it is going to hurt the individuals to begin with. But if you do or you don't, they will still suffer anyway, because whether Miley Cyrus got the Great South or not, African Americans are still going to suffer at the end of the day. So we do not think that harm that was brought by the leader of opposition is something that is valuable. And then also on the idea of how this identity, if you take the identity, you're going to entrench the suffering because you suddenly take something away from them. We tell you that it is not as if you are taking his ideals, right? It is something that you are borrowing, but it is still going to stay with you. But we tell you, like I've said it earlier just now, the moment in which you make your identity be known to the world, that is the moment in which the alleviation of suffering is going to be something that is going to be much better, because that is the moment in which people understand that this group of people do exist and they deserve all the attention that they deserve, right? We tell you that, just to reiterate again, that inside closing government, we believe that cultural appropriation is not intrinsically bad. We do understand that it's going to be bad. But in the world where we can divorce the differences between what is inherently bad and what is inherently good, that is a moment in which we will be able to delineate and also differentiate what is cultural appropriation and also what is cultural appreciation.
Thank you very much. That is very obvious. questions in this speech. The first is, do minorities actually have ownership over their culture? The second is whether or not bastardization of minority culture does happen in status quo. And thirdly, do they actually, inside government, alleviate minorities to get financial mobility, all the economic benefits that they want? And lastly, how do we gain cultural appreciation without cultural? So the first question, because Amit tells us a few things in his speech. She established the principal element that minorities don't have a right to their culture anyway. The first reason that she gave us is that it was acquired arbitrarily. But I think the first is that just because its construction of identity happens arbitrarily due to things like geographical circumstances, like Indians wearing hat wear because it was hot, for example, doesn't necessarily mean that they do not have ownership over those cultures, right? Because the example that they gave to us was circumstantial at best, because it was one example. I can give you 10 other examples whereby individuals actually constructed their identity or their culture because there was spiritual significance to it, there was religious significance to it. I wear the hijab because my religion tells me that I will gain spiritual fulfillment to it. Those are other parts of my culture whereby it was not constructed just because of things like arbitrary things like geographical circumstances. But secondly, we don't care how it was arbitrarily constructed, right? Meaning that we rather have a standard of ownership whereby the individuals who uniquely develop it must own it, right? Like for example, just because the start of your construction of your identity was because of geographical reason does not mean that it cannot change as time passes by. Because I think when minorities are able to construct their identity as time goes by, maybe they get more cultural significance because it was traditional, maybe they wear the baju kurung because their ancestors wore it, and it became more significant as time passed by. And we think because they uniquely develop it, because they uniquely sustain it throughout time, we think that's why those group of individuals uniquely own that culture and uniquely own those practices. But last, we think these individuals choose to opt out for reasons that are far more legitimate than individuals who are white who opt into like yoga. Even like perhaps they opt into the yoga because they think it's trendy, because they think it's cool, because they think it's something that millennials have to do. But individuals who are like in those cultures opt into because they feel that they might get spiritual fulfillment out of it, because they believe that they must survive, ensure that their cultural survivability can pass throughout time. And we think there's far more legitimate reasons as opposed to like white people. But last, the other reasons that they gave was like, oh, it's really hard to draw the line, right? Because what is cultural appropriation? I'm uncertain why it's proved that why cultural is intrinsically bad, because morality in general is black and white, but we still are able to have that unspoken agreement as to some practices, like murder, for example, is intrinsically bad. So I don't understand why it's proved that it's intrinsically bad. So in conclusion, I'm unsure why minorities don't have ownership over their culture. So second question, will corporations bastardize minority culture? Because they made a claim that corporations have a natural incentive to check themselves, otherwise there will be consumer backlash. I think it was assertive at best, because it was never explained why consumer backlash exists in the first place. We would like to contest that the reason why we are able to hold corporations to account in making sure that they don't disrespect our cultures, in making sure that they don't bastardize our cultures, is because this narrative exists. This narrative dominates our society. It breeds an agreement that cultural authenticity is important, therefore we must protect the cultures that minority have. In absence of this narrative, corporations have zero incentive to not bastardize. Like big corporations like your Dolce & Gabbana, like MAC Cosmetics, for example, controlled by privileged majorities, they don't understand the nuance of your culture. They don't understand like any spiritual fulfillment that you get. So but also these big corporations are profit driven. So when they commodify your culture, they want to make sure that their products can sell. So what do? They want nitpick your culture, choose parts of your culture that they want to sell. But secondly, they change your culture in a way that they make it more palatable. They change tribal symbols and make it more aesthetic, disregarding any spiritual significance. So in conclusion, bastardization will still happen. My second level is, why is it bastardization intrinsically horrible? One, you remove any minority ability to exercise their own culture because they feel that they must up into the bastardized culture in order for them to feel like excluded, included. But secondly, authentic cultures will never be appreciated, right? You have to wear a modernized or a bastardized version of your culture in order for you to get appreciated. We think that's far worse, and otherwise you do not be fashionable. But second, so in conclusion, big corporations will bastardize and will harm more. It will harm more minorities. But third question: do you actually elevate minorities to get financial mobility? For that, okay.
So, in your opinion, should a pharma company be able to permanently restrict access to antiretroviral drugs purely because they're uniquely made?
No, the difference is that those pharma, like, it's obviously more, there's utility to it, like obviously that's a completely different story. But when it comes to when it comes to culture, when you make your own culture, you construct your own culture, I don't understand, it's completely two different things. But secondly, do they actually get financial mobility? Because I think it's unlikely, because there's huge power asymmetry that exists. The fact that there's huge PR and marketing power because your corporations are already reputable. The other says that, oh, but you have the ability to say, I'm authentic, I'm able to make profit of it. You think that comparing like MAC Cosmetics to like an obscure shop in like a rural area, you would obviously opt into the MAC Cosmetics because it's more reputable, there's more consumer trust. So I'm not sure why your minority groups are able to get economic benefits anyway. They would drown out from like your corporations. But lastly, how do we get cultural appropriation? Because I think you can get cultural appropriation without cultural appropriation, without going into the gray area that government side wants to talk about. Examples of this is like probably having an advertisement of like Indian women wearing a sari, for example, in a work and professional setting. You can normalize the idea without having white people wearing and without marketing the idea that you need to have white people wearing your culture, appropriating your culture. We think cultural appreciation and normalization can exist in both worlds, but we do it better in a world where minorities actually do it. Minorities actually spearhead the movement. They actually own the culture.
Thank you very much for that. Please cross floor and you may leave.
Oh, boleh balik dekat saya dia kan?
Is there dinner? No.
Ya Allah, there is no dinner, right?
I don't know.
Why is it silent, by the way?
Same time.
Time issue. You have to leave at 9, right?
It's already 8:45. What big difference is it between 8:45 and 9?
Yeah, that is actually.
I feel like rest of the room.
Oh, yes, sir.
Because to be honest, I booked it till like 6. Right.
The solution is to cut down 5.
Yeah.